What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 12 of our Build in Public series, first episode of 2026, where I walk you through our week-to-week process building Sanctum. My name is Casey Baggs. What's up? I am the founder of Nurl, a design platform for the tabletop roleplay game industry. And this series is about us showing you a behind-the-scenes progress where we'll show you what we shipped during the week for each week. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's whatever. It's just whenever it feels right to talk about a bunch of stuff. To give you a behind-the-scenes perspective of the psychology and everything of what the why and all that stuff of what we're doing leading up to our public release, which is going to be this year. I'm so excited. So what we're going to do is we're going to release to our early adopter group first. They are a handful of the designers who went all in on believing in our mission before essentially we really had a product built, when it was just an idea. Then we have a beta group that is still, the doors are still open to the beta group if you are a designer that does Mörk Borg hacks or Mörk Borg anything. It could be supplements, it could be core rules, it could be a new book, whatever, or something slightly outside the range of that. You don't have to be a Mörk Borg designer. Maybe you do like normal OSR stuffs. Hit me up and get in contact with me. I'm in the Mörk Borg server. I'm in the Brain Trust server. I'm in a lot of places around town, you could say. Find me and get me in, or go to our website, fill out the form. I'll contact you and get you into the server. We only have a small amount of limited spots left for our beta pool. But once we launch to our beta pool, then we're going to launch publicly later this year. And so I'm so excited about that. But let's talk about what we shipped this week. So if you're new to Sanctum, Sanctum is an app made to help streamline and make collaboration on designing tabletop roleplay games more accessible in general to everyone in the industry, more collaborative. We're already a very tight-knit, a very collaborative community. We're just doing it in a very archaic way. And more scalable for people who have a large portfolio. There's not a good tool that you're using that actually scales professionally like every other industry has. This is what Sanctum is. It's the tool that tabletop roleplay game design has needed for a very long time that no one's built, and we're doing it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. We don't use AI. We are a human-made company. And everything we built just uses good old algorithms. That's why it's so fast. We're not interested in AI. We're not going to use AI in anything. So let me see. I think that's it. So we're not launched. You can sign up for beta. I think that's it. So let's jump into what we did. Okay, so last we left off, our adventurers. I just went into GM mode. Last we left off in the previous Sanctum 2025 wrapped video, I kind of walked through what we accomplished throughout the whole year. It was a big year. We did a lot. And we're picking up that swiftly this year. So let's hop into it. We are in our indie collective studio space, and so this is our design collective. Think of it like you could be a one-person indie shop. It could be a thing like Stockholm Cartel, where it's this collective of designers kind of coming and going, or it could be like something bigger, like a Free League or a Paizo. We're indie collective, and we have these different projects. We're going to be in the open source game, which is public. So in theory, anyone in the industry can contribute to this project, which is what we want. And within this repository, in our main branch, which is our production branch, this is essentially what we want to send to print. We only have one file, the idea board. This is a Spark file this file, out of all of them in the list, you can see it's at the very top. We kind of put this in the order of hierarchy of how game design kind of goes. So maybe we should move lore, but lore is kind of like a separate from all of this stuff. But Spark is where you get your idea. So instead of jotting notes down on a paper, we have a framework that will work through to kind of help you come up with ideas and test them faster before you start building. System, of course, if you want to extend another game system or create your own, that's the system file. Core rulebook, of course, will be devoted to creating core rulebooks, adventure supplements, etc. And lore, of course, your wiki, I guess, is a good way of putting that. Okay, so far in our history, we've only built the Spark in the system file. We're in the process of building the system file. So this week we did add the final feature for this set of what we're doing to the Spark file. I'm just going to hop in here. Now, whenever you add an answer, you get that preview of the answer. So this is great. If you're it makes it more functional. So that way, should be like a long-term living reference, if you will, to keep coming back to and to iterate on. So for example, I answer a few questions here and there. Ideally, you would only spend about 20 minutes max on this file, the first round, to kind of just fill in what you know. It's okay if you have areas that you don't know. And then once you have spent your 20 minutes on this, then throw it out into the world and see, does it stick or not? And if it does, then great, you have something, move forward. If not, then let's keep iterating on here, figuring out, okay, what do we need to pivot where? And when we know the answers to stuff, for example, you really don't know your unique value proposition, which is sort of how you pitch it and sell it, until you have more things figured out. That's why it's sitting dead in the center. It's kind of the center of everything. And then towards the end, like resources and scope are more business oriented. You're probably not going to know that until you have more of the game concept. But this sort of wraps up this file of where we want to do, what we want to do with it at this point in time before we launch to our beta users. In the future, you could think of this as growing, like you notice how we stylized the background to look like a piece of graph paper. That's intentional. Because in the future, I do want to make it to where you can like write in the background and leave like sticky notes and stuff. So for example, if you're familiar with the web design application called Figma, you're a visual artist, this is essentially our Fig Jam board. We're just kind of providing a framework layer on top of that. Okay, so that's the Spark file. Nothing really groundbreaking there, but highly functional. So that way, when we come here, we don't constantly have to be clicking into these sections to know what our answers were for those sections. We're going to be doing a series in the future, hopefully in February, where I'm going to be partnering up with a designer, Mazie from Jadra Games, who is the designer of a recent release called Reclvse, which is a slightly crunchier solo board for Mörk Borg Hack that like solitary confinement existed, but Reclvse just has a little more details and it's a little lower level for like more things, but it's a really great solo hack. We're going to be teaming up with her and we're going to be using Sanctum to build our own Mörk Borg hack that's coming in the future. I don't want to spoil too much. I'm going to stop there. Hang out till the end to hear more about that. Okay, so most of the time that we spent was on design and user research, but I did squeeze in another feature. So in our branches, you'll see that I have a feature in new system branch. So I'm going to go there and we have our system file. a safe space for me to add this new file. And within here, we get this beautiful new resolution screen. And this is just step one in a much bigger process. So if you've been hanging around with us since last year, you know that this used to be a page called Dice, and it was devoted to dice sets, assuming that would be the only core resolution tool that we support. However, I just made a hard decision that even though it's going to be more work, I don't think it's going to be that much more work compared to just doing dice related stuff. So we're going to go ahead and support the 3 most common resolution tools in most games. So dice, of course, is going to have all the stuff that we're going to build out again in these next few weeks. If you're interested, look at the previous episodes we have about analyzing dice and stuff. So this is where if we select dice, we'll be able to manage it. Essentially say, I want this specific set of dice with this type of core method. So if you're new to game design, your core resolution is 3 parts. It's a tool. It's either going to be the most common tools are what you see here, a dice set, a deck of cards, could be like playing cards, could be tarot cards. Black Mass by Will Jopes, one of our early adopters. What's up, Will? Is a tarot-based card, so I'm really I've been enjoying reading that. Some good stuff. And then block towers. Ooh, if you want to add, I can't spoil it. I have such a good idea for this future game with the block tower. Okay, so this is really it. So this is phase 1. Once you have your tool, you typically have an identifier. Identifiers are, for the most part, kind of come with the thing you choose. So if you choose a polyhedral set versus like a D6 pool, your identifier in the polyhedral set is more than likely always going to be a D20. And then with the dice set, you have different core methods that you could choose. So for example, maybe you want a linear method, or maybe an over method. So D&D, oh, I can't believe I just said that name. D&D, or bless D&D, uses rollover. So you roll a D20, which is its identifier, like the main tool that you're going to resolve things, and you have to get a number or above, a number over. Dragonbane, the Swedish version, much more functional. Highly recommend, if you're interested in D&D, check out Dragonbane. It's a roll under, so you get that number or below. So there's lots of different things. So essentially, we're going to provide templates for you to choose the set and have that pre-set up, so you don't have to go through all these steps if you don't want to. However, there's definitely people out there that love that low-level customization. You're going to be able to do all that to your heart's content. So I'm so stoked to kind of get this underway and get this super powered. I think this was the missing piece that we kind of left off this area. It feels right now. So if I select dice, nothing happens except for a super nerd screen, because this is what we're going to build next week. So outside of that, I think we didn't talk about this. This looks the same as last year, but we just have it hooked up now. So a way to publish your files so other people can extend them and use them. So you can see here that the Stockholm Cartel has published the Mörk Borg engine. This is all fake data, of course. But if we wanted to, I can add this with a single click. I now have one dependency, and I could just see very easily here. Whoops. Found a bug. Whoops, I'll have that fixed next week. If I go to manage, I'll see the same view, but I can see by the buttons that's the Mörk Borg engine. And there's nothing in this file yet because we haven't hooked anything up on this page, but essentially we inherit everything. This will become much more magical in the future videos once we get resolution hooked up, especially when we get blocks hooked up. You're going to see how this is going to transform and streamline a tabletop roleplay game design in a way that has never been possible before. Most notably, we also inherit the Mörk Borg license. So if I go to my license tab, you're not going to see it because I haven't hooked up the inheritance here yet. But that's the magical part about this this little one button click of inheritance model that we have. Is this is going to streamline things in a way that's just going to change everything in this industry in a very positive way. Okay, so that's it for this week. I'm going to take a note that I need to revisit the Manage tab that was hooked up, but I also shifted some stuff around. I was being risky. I shifted things around. I just shipped something right before I recorded this video, and I skipped over some testing. That's my fault. That's my fault. So I'll have that fixed next week. No big deal. Okay, so that's it. So I'm pretty stoked about this year. Like, this is such a great starting point. We have such a great, strong foundation for this product. And most notably, I'm really stoked about to announce that in February, we're starting a new series where, like I mentioned before, myself and Mazie from Jadra Games, we're going to do an entire series of working from start to finish, designing a Mörk Borg Hack that is inspired by the movie The Housemaid. So if you, I think it's not A24. I don't know who it's by, but it's based on a book series. That's a suspense thriller. So to my knowledge, we don't really have any suspense thriller Mörk Borgs out there. We have some people doing some horror stuff like Chainsaw. I would even say Mörk Dode is kind of horror-ish. We got Bloodborg, vampires. We don't really have a suspense model. And The Housemaid is just perfect. So we're both really excited to do this and to work on this. We got some ideas cooking. So in February, we're going to launch that series, and you're going to watch us build a Mörk Borg open source game right before your eyes. And we're going to throw it out into the Mörk Borg server, get a feel for how you guys feel about it in real time. And you're going to see probably for the first time this full cycle development of creation, validation, that you can directly connect to a server and seeing the changes and pivots and stuff that we make from that validation until we finish the design cycle and get this thing into life using Sanctum. So hopefully all the dots will connect and we can see the power of Sanctum. So really thrilled to announce that. Super stoked to work with Mazie. And we don't have a date set in stone, but the goal is to get that started in February. So if you're stoked about that, let us know, drop us a comment, leave a like on the video, etc., etc. And that's it. That's all I got for this week. So we're starting to chug along, chug. And man, I just feel really good about this year. Like, this is going to be a special year. So thank you so much for hanging out, and hope you enjoy your year. Bye-bye.